Today we'll be speaking about is naming sinful rabbis Lashon HaRa. Unfortunately, in the last few months, there's been a lot of scandals in Israel and all over the world about rabbis that are committing immoral acts, unfortunately. So the question is it Lashon HaRa to expose them? No. Is it? No. Now we know Lashon HaRa is a terrible sin. Lashon HaRa is character assassination. It's considered shvichas damim, killing me softly with his words. Remember that song, killing me softly with words, killing me softly with words. Roberta Flack, or Black, I don't remember. Okay, thank you. Killing me softly with words. Okay. But anyway, it's a terrible sin. Lashon HaRa is a terrible sin. So the question is this called Lashon HaRa or not?
It's toilet.
Is it what?
Toilet.
Depends, right? So the Chafetz Chaim says that it's an upside down world. He says that he wrote the book on Lashon HaRa. He says an upside down world. He says when people are not allowed to speak Lashon HaRa, they speak Lashon HaRa. And sometimes it's necessary, Nechama, to speak Lashon HaRa, then all of a sudden they become frum. Oilam afuch ro'iti. The Chafetz Chaim says it in his book, Chafetz Chaim. When you're not allowed to speak, they speak. Terrible sin, character assassination. But sometimes you have to speak, and then they don't speak. Because they become frum. That's the Yetzer Hara, right? You become frum when you should not be so frum. So the question is about today, what about a child molester, abusive husband, right? Praying rabbis, praying, get it, Yehuda, not P-R-A-Y, P-R-E-Y, Sharona, correct. Praying rabbis. What about them? Should we expose them, or is it Lashon HaRa not? So if you take, what? So if you take a look at your sheet, side number 1, we have to expose them. Why? If you take a look at side number 1, sheet number 1, if you take a look where it says, Ein Toras Chachma V'Kavod Tvuna Keneged Chil Hashem. When there's a Chil Hashem involved, then you have to what? On side number 1, then you have to speak up. I'm reading the paragraph, there's an underline there, Ein Chachma V'Ein Tvuna V'Ein Eitze Neged Hashem. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. That when the Chil Hashem is involved, you're supposed to even paskin muter laharois halacha b'fnei rabo. Bein chil Hashem k'shenoshim rayim. And so far, the Gemara in Brachos says, Omer Rav Yehuda Marav, in the first paragraph where you have the lines, Hamotzi klayim bebigdo, afila b'shuk. If a guy is wearing shatnez, even in the street, then even in the street you're supposed to what? Take it off. Incredible. Tzorech lifshtad es begadav, even in the street. Yiddish, my tama, why is that? There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Ein chochma, I have it underlined there, Yehuda, you have it, Ein chochma, vein tevuna, vein eitze neged Hashem. There's no wisdom or understanding if it contradicts God's will. Kol mokom sheyesh chil Hashem, wherever there is what? A desecration of God's name, Ein cholkin kovid l'rav. Then you don't give any cover to a Rav. Yiddish? And the Gdivra HaGemara, that even if the Rav, even if a Choshev a Rav, Lovesh Klayim, Yiddish, you have to take it off. Afila be'emtzar achov. Isn't that incredible? Even a Choshev a Rav, you know that he's wearing shatnez. You have to disrobe him. Yiddish, don't try this at home, but anyway, that's what it says here. Strange Gemara, the Yordei Shulchan Aruch paskins like that. Shafilim Rav Choshuv Lovesh Klayim Gam Oz Moirid Es Habigodim Shalo V'Oimed Arum Afil Be'emtzar Achov. Why is that? Again, the pasuk in Mishlei, Ein Toras Chachma Kavod Kineged Chil Hashem. So when there's a Chil Hashem involved, like Nebuch, these immoral rabbis, then there's an obligation, there's a duty to what? To name them, to expose them, and it's not Lashon HaRa. And where do you learn it out? You learn it out from Pinchas. It is Ruvain. Look at the next paragraph. What does What does God tell Moshe Rabbeinu? Take the sinners and hang them up. Those sinners who sinned with the Benos Moab, who were involved with immorality with the Midianite Moabite women. The Torah says in Parshas Balak, V'haka osam Lashem neged Hashemesh. What does that mean? Hang them up. What does neged Hashemesh mean? Expose them. Expose them. Halacha zi, we learn out Chil Hashem. Chachmeinu melamdim oshanu she'etzem achet Chil Hashem gadol yoter. The greater Chil Hashem is Sonia's covering up for them. Yiddish Ruvain. So you might think exposing these famous rabbis is a Chil Hashem. Kani, just the opposite. Not exposing them, covering up for them, that's a greater Chil Hashem. How do we learn it? From the Maisa Pinchas and Zimri, where God tells Moshe Rabbeinu, remember Pashas Balak? Kach has called Rosh Ha'am, take all the chiefs of the people, the chief rabbis who were guilty of what? Of sexual immorality. V'hok osam Hashem neget Hashemesh. And hang them up neget Hashemesh. What does neget Hashemesh mean? To expose them. Doesn't mean literally hang them in front of the sun. It means, Chava, that these chief rabbis who were guilty of sexual immorality, the Torah says in Bamidbar 25, Pasuk 4, that you're obligated to what? Expose them. And that's what neget Hashemesh means.
Yep.
Isn't that incredible?
In the light of the sun.
Right? The Rosh Ha'am. Who are the Rosh Ha'am? The chief rabbis who were guilty of immorality. So it might be a Chil Hashem. How dare you name the chief rabbi? Isn't a Chil Hashem? But the Torah says no. Dafke covering up and not naming them is a Chil Hashem. And the tikkun is Dafke by what? Rose, by exposing them. It's pretty amazing here. Aval Torah melamedet shedafke achshifa. What does that mean? Legalot hatikun. If you read the box in the center, Kesheyesh anoshim, you see that in the center of the page? Kesheyesh anoshim shachotim besete barayot. There are certain people that sin privately with sexual immorality, but they make themselves out to be tzaddikim, like Kabbalists. They prevent the gula. This is Rav Mordechai Eliyahu writing. People like that prevent the gula. Therefore, it is our obligation to what? To farsem. Mishim Chil Hashem. To know that there is a din v'dayan. So, Adarabba, there is a obligation to expose these sinful rabbis, and it's not Chil Hashem. Just the opposite. It's not Lashon HaRa. Why is it not Lashon HaRa? Because these sinful rabbis, so you have a din of a rodef. They have a din like a rodef. Know what a rodef means?
Yes.
A pursuer, right? So they're jeopardizing people's lives. Some of these women want to commit suicide.
Terrible.
They're messed up. And the children, their lives are ruined.
Ruins their family.
Ruins their family. And they parade as if they're tzaddikim, but actually they are terrible sinners. And the Torah tells us already in Parshas Balak, on Midbar 25, that even if they're the chief rabbis, you hear this? Surely, you have to expose them. Neget Hashemesh is a metaphor. Neget Hashemesh means, Evelyn, what? For all to see. For publicly, for all to see.
So let's do it.
So let's do it, okay? Yeah.
Do it. Help me.
Yeah. Now, let's move on over here. Let's go to the paragraph that says, Godol Kiddush Hashem Mechil Hashem. See that, the paragraph on side number 1? It begins, Godol Kiddush Hashem Mechil Hashem. B'Gemara Yishalmi, Rav Abba Bar Zimna, B'Shem Hashil, Godol Kiddush Hashem Mechil Hashem. Al Kain, therefore, Lokar Pinchas at the Romach. Pinchas took the spear, and whom did he execute? Zimri. Zimri was the chief rabbi of Shevet Shimon. He didn't cover up for him. He executed him together with Cosby Bastur. Neget Hashemesh. That was the first shiksabab. First shiksabab, get it?
Her name is Cosby.
Cosby, not Bill Cosby. Cosby Bastur, Neget Hashemesh. Hoy v'zeh Chil Hashem Mesuyam. It was a terrible Chil Hashem, Kashikulam Royim. You hear this, Sharona? Everybody saw the chief rabbi of Shevet Shimon was engaged in what? In sexual immorality. He was the Rosh Beit Av. So they figured what's good for the goose is what? Good for the gander. So the greater Achil Hashem would be what? To let this go on unpunished. Right? That's right. So therefore Pinchas acted and he was Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. The next paragraph, Gam HaMagefa, and a terrible plague broke out, and how many Jews died? 24,000. See that? 24,000 nefoshot. Right? There's a Chilul Hashem. So therefore, when there's a Chilul Hashem involved, and there's a rabbi that prays, get it, Evelyn? Prays, not P-R-A-Y, but P-R-E-Y, prays on victims, then it's a mitzvah to expose them. It becomes a mitzvah to expose them.
Not exposing them is a crime.
Not exposing is a crime. Not exposing them is a crime. And the Ravadia Yosef speaks about a different inyan. He speaks about another inyan. He says whether you're allowed to expose somebody who went to apply for a driver's license, and you know that he is a little off the wall, or he has epilepsy, and are you allowed to go to the driving bureau and say, don't give a license to this guy that he's a lunatic or he has epilepsy? Is that considered Lashon HaRa or not? Right?
He's dangerous.
He's dangerous. So again, Rabbi Yosef says, since he's dangerous, right? Therefore, again, it's a mitzvah to expose him, because this guy who's driving a car is a deadly weapon. The guy is a loony, right? Or he's not all there. So again, he has a din like what? A rodef, or he takes drugs. Then it's a mitzvah to expose him.
Well, Rabbi, you have to know this for a fact.
You have to know this for a fact. We'll have to talk about that. You have to know it for a fact. So when is it Lashon HaRa? Lashon HaRa is Shemeschavin. This is Vadia Yosef's tshuva, Yechav Das, Chelik 4. He says here, when is it called Lashon HaRa? Shemeschavin rak lahashmitz et chaveiro ilavzoto. When your kavanah is to besmirch the guy and shame him because you hate him. Aval im mischavin lo toyelet, like Chava said. If there's a toyelet there, how do you say toyelet in English?
Benefit.
A benefit for society, or laharchik nezek, or to prevent the damage from being done, mutar. Then that it's mutar. And he says after that, it's not only mutar, bevadai shechova mitzvah. It becomes a mitzvah to expose this guy to keep him away from what?
Society.
From society. And how do you know it's a mitzvah? How do you know it's a mitzvah? So the Rav Yosef quotes the pasuk. It says, "Lo samot adam rayecha." It says, "Lo samot adam rayecha, lo selech rochel ba'amecha." What's the connection? Don't stand by the blood of your friend. Don't go being a talebearer. Why is it in the same pasuk?
Because sometimes you have to be a tail.
Beautiful. So Pashup Shat is that what? If you're a talebearer, it's like you're standing by the blood of your friend. But other times, sometimes you have to be a talebearer in order to prevent your friend from falling into what? Pach Zevel. Think you had a question? Shirley had a question?
No.
You didn't have a question? Okay. So anyway,
I'm going to make a statement.
a comment. Go ahead.
When a person accuses or says something about something, they have to have the facts, not what they think or what they know. Or just, sometimes there are two sides to a story.
Right. So you have to have first-hand knowledge. You have to know.
You can't have any.
You have to know that the guy, you're the doctor of the guy that has this illness.
There's not-
Hearsay you can't say. Hearsay.
There's something that's wrong with this.
What?
Not two sides to a story. There's right and wrong.
Okay. So how do you know that the lady is not fabricating?
You listen
How do you-
and then you investigate. But don't refuse to listen because you're not.
Of course you have to listen. Here there were dozens of women, not just one. And there was a pattern there.
There's a witness.
What?
There's a pattern of witnesses.
And he actually admitted it to the rabbi, the Rab Bezdin in Tzfat.
If it's just one person who comes to you,
Right.
you have to listen.
Yeah, of
Then
course you
go
have to listen.
Then go investigate.
Of course, you have to investigate. You don't dismiss anybody, right? So he goes on over here. I'm reading from, you don't have the tshuva, it's Yechav Das. He's saying that sometimes by not being a talebearer, you're standing by the blood of your friend. So it depends if there's a toyelet, if your intention is to save people from his evil acts, then it becomes a mitzvah of atzalah. But if your intention is what? Just to shame him because you hate him, then it's Lashon HaRa.
This passage is in Vayikra, is that correct?
Yes, in Vayikra. Pashas Kedoshim. Pashas Kedoshim.
And Rabbi,
Yeah.
if you don't reveal it, then you're also over the issue of Lifnei Iver.
Lifnei Iver L'titen Michshol. Very good. Let's go on and see our next source. Let's take a look back on side number 1 in our Mara Mekomot. In Mara Mekomot. Nidu berabim. See the underline there, Yehud, on the left side? Nidu berabim l'chal Hashem Hashem b'seter. See that? Nidu berabim. Sometimes you have to put the person in cherem and rabim because he's mechal Hashem Hashem b'seter. So these rabbis must be put in nidu. Yehuda, you know what nidu means? Excommunication. See the underlined Chava, the left side? Nidui barabim l'mechal Hashem Hashem b'seter. Sometimes we have to put these rabbis publicly excommunicate them because they're mechal Hashem Hashem b'seter. Excommunicating them means you can't have no contact with them, you can't give them an aliyah, you can't speak to them, you can't go within Dalet Amos of them.
What's the difference between nidui?
Nidui is a synonym for cherem. It's a synonym for cherem. Nidui. Hagimara, you have it, Malka? Hagimara?
But I thought Lashon HaKodesh has no synonyms.
Well, it does. Not exactly, but it is a synonym. Nidu b'rabi mechal Hashem Hashem b'seter. Hagimara misaperet, you have it? Al Talmid Chacham, shoy megala arayat b'seter. There was a certain rabbi, a famous rabbi, so nothing has changed, Sonia, in 2,000 years. 2,000 years ago, you also had rabbis who acted piously, and they were committing immoral acts behind closed doors. So nothing, ein chadash tachas hashemesh. Who said that? Shlomo Melech, ein chadash tachas hashemesh. The more things change, the more what? Stay the same. So again, nidu berabim, you have it, Malcolm, mechal Hashem Hashem b'seter, hagimara misaperet, al talmid chacham, shahoya megala arayat b'seter. Certain great rabbi was committing immoral acts privately. Hoylech lamokam shei makirin oisai, loivish chorim, musate shchorim, v'osem ashli b'chafetz. You hear this? So the people said, what do you do with this great rabbi? So what are you supposed to do with him, right? So they're supposed to put this guy in cherem. They're supposed to, but are you allowed to continue to study from him? Can you study Torah from him? So look at the second paragraph. Analoi Rabba Bar Chana, you have it, the second paragraph. Kachom Rabbi Yochanan, Mai Dichsiv, Ki Sifsei Kohen Yishmuru Das, V'Torah Vakshim Piyu, Ki Malach Hashem Tzevaot. There's a pasuk in the Navi, the words of the lips of the Kohen, Yishmur Das, the Torah Vakshim Piyu, Ki Malach Hashem Tzevaot. So what does the pasuk mean? So the Talmud says, Im harav domeh lamalach Hashem Tzevaot. If your teacher is compared to what? To a malach, yivakshu Torah Piyu, then you should what? Study Torah from his mouth. Vim lav. But if your Rebbe is not a malach, al yivakshu Torah Piyu, then don't seek Torah from his mouth. V'kiven shachacham hazeh over al is arayot. Rabbi Aaron, you have that? I have it underlined. Since this chacham of 2,000 years ago and today, unfortunately, he's over is arayot. It's gili arayot, committing adultery. Asa lilmoid mimenu Torah. Then you're forbidden to what? Study Torah from him. And therefore, this great rabbi in Tzfas, who was literally caught with his pants down, his Talmidim, they tore Kriya, and they sat Shiva for him, and they threw all of his books in the garbage. Kol hakavod. They sat Shiva, they tore Kriya. He had a yeshiva in Tzfas with hundreds of students.
It was all that time they wasted studying with him.
Studying with him, they didn't know.
And they didn't know better.
So when they found out, they put him in Cherem, they sat Shiva for him, and they threw his books in the garbage.
Poor thing.
What
What are they going to do with him now?
Why? He's in jail now. He's in jail. He's going to stand trial. There are 12 women are accusing him. There's going to be a trial.
It's publicly announced. It's on the internet. I don't remember the name, but was he a Kabbalist too?
He was a great Kabbalist. He would bewitch these women. I put a spell on you. He would bewitch them. He said, if you don't submit to me, you'll be cursed. You hear his angle? And these women had trouble conceiving. So they came to him, he said, I'll help you out.
Oh, yeah.
You hear this?
Yeah.
This pervert masquerading as a great Kabbalist. But nothing is new. 2,000 years ago, Tractate Moed Katan, page 17, Ruvain, you have these cases. Great rabbis masquerading as great rabbis who are really perverts. So you must excise them, expose them, name them, put them in cherem, forbidden to study, and burn their books. What? What?
They learn a chumash you burn.
No, the books.
The books that he wrote, not the books that he wrote.
You did not say that.
Slicha. The books that he wrote. His chidushim. Nice. His books.
Books he authored.
Books that he authored, right? You're not allowed to study from
I
them.
want to ask you something, is that when he said,
What?
this is a great rabbi.
Yeah.
He has 2,000 students.
Right.
This is some little strange woman. How does she get believed?
Zimri was a great rabbi. He had 24,000 students. Zimri, the Nasi of Shevet Shimon, Kani, he had 24,000 students. Yet the Torah exposes him, names him, and punishes him, doesn't cover up for him. Chief rabbi acts this way, it's a chil Hashem. It's a greater chil Hashem to cover up for him. The cover up is worse than the crime. What?
The fact is, would you believe the woman?
Yes.
So that's the point. You should believe the woman. You have to investigate.
We learn it in our other places too.
What?
A woman is learned because one woman's gonna come and embarrass herself in front of her husband, in front of the Beit Din,
Right.
all these things. So a lot of times she's believed.
Believe. What has she got to gain? She's just bringing shame on herself and her family. Who knows if the kids Le'aleinu are not mamzerim? There's a problem of mamzerus over here.
Be careful too, because sometimes women come and they accuse men. And
Yeah, but this
they
is
have problems.
12 women, Aaron, not one.
He has not-
Talking about this great rabbi in Sfat.
Question.
Yes? What?
He has not stood trial yet, is that correct?
He's in jail.
But he's not stood
The
trial.
evidence is overwhelming, but he's in jail. He doesn't get bail.
No, I know.
That's pretty
But
amazing.
He hasn't stood trial, and there's that shiva for him. They're not, the principle of innocent until proven guilty.
But he admitted it.
He did admit it.
Not to the police, but to the Rabbi Eliyahu in Sfas.
Okay, he admitted it.
He admitted to Eliyahu because all of these women came forward, so he did admit it.
Okay.
To,
Is this something that's going on currently now?
it happened about a month ago. You go to Oretz Sheva website.
Yeah.
Oretz Sheva website. I remember the rabbi's name. You can say his name. I don't remember his name. But he was a great Kabbalist in Tzfat. So
The guy in Australia.
the guy in Australia, you have cases in Australia, and you have, unfortunately, what in Chabad you have, right? Rabbis were caught.
Little boys.
Terrible.
20 years ago.
What? And to cover up is a terrible crime.
What about the rabbis who cover up for their students and make shidduchim when they know there's something wrong with
That's exactly. Again, that's a rodef. You go to the student, you ask the rabbi, what kind of guy is he? You know the guy is a lowlife. And you say, I can't speak Lashon HaRa.
Right.
So you let the poor girl fall in. You're over, like a doctor said, lifnei evil atita mirsho. If you know firsthand that the guy is a lowlife, you have to say the truth, that it's not Lashon HaRa.
But a lot of
Then you're saving the poor lady from falling in, or vice versa, right? Then it's not Lashon HaRa. The people become frum at the wrong time. When they have to speak, they clam up. When you're not allowed to speak, then they shoot off their mouth. So Chafetz Chaim already said, Olam hafuch ra'iti. What does that mean, Yehuda? Olam hafuch. Upside down world, okay? Right? Now, the Gemara in Moed Katan, an amazing story, and to this rabbi.
Is this on our sheets?
It's on your sheet, Ruvain. It's on the side one. So the rabbi was put in cherem. This rabbi was put in cherem, excommunicated, Gam achar, you see where it says, Gam achar shenifta Rabbi Yehuda lo yitiva lo nidui. Even when the rabbi who put him in Chayrim died, the Chayrim was not canceled. He continued to be what? In Chayrim. Gam Rabbi Yehuda, Nesiya sharot shel hate lo nidov. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, after the other rabbi put him in Chayrim, wanted to be mat to this guy in Chayrim. At sheba devora, have it underlined. You see the Ruvain, the last line on side 1? At sheba devora, until a wasp came. V'uktza et hachacham, b'mokaim shachata. You hear this? What a way to go. Umeis tar kedei nidui. You hear this? They were about to take him out of excommunication. Because he claimed that what? I'm a good boy now. I went to therapy. So before they had a chance to take him out of Nidui, Rabbi Avraham, a bee came and bit him in the orla. It bit him where he did the sin. What a way to go. I wrote ouch. You see that? I wrote ouch. Ooh, ouch. That really hurts. He got bit in the place that he sinned with his Brit Milah. Umeis talkedei nidu, and therefore he died before they had a chance to what? Take him out of Nidu. He claimed he went to therapy, Evelyn. He claimed that he's a good boy now. But from heaven they said that it's not so, and he died a painful death by a bee stinging him. B'mokam shachata. Let's turn to side number 2. What? Side number 2, yes? Moed Katan, we're learning this, page 17. Right? Yes.
Throw stones on their aura.
Right. If a person dies binidui, they're supposed to stone the coffin. Shoshana, you know that?
What do you mean?
A person dies while he's excommunicated. A guy doesn't want to give his wife a get, or a guy that's a pervert. You're supposed to put him in chayrim. Nidui means in chayrim. If the chayrim is not lifted, even after he's dead, they're supposed to put stones on the coffin.
Throw them on this coffin.
Not throw. They put it.
Not like they put stones on
They put stones on the coffin as a sign that he's still in Nidui. So even after he dies. Terrible. Nidui.
Put stones to recognize people.
No, but to stone the coffin is called. This Gemara in Moed Katan speaks about that.
Ever put somebody in harem who hasn't given his wife a get?
Hmm?
Have they ever done that?
Oh, yes, sure.
In recent times.
Check the Jewish press. The Jewish press used to have a list, Shoshana.
I see they
The
don't-
Jewish press used to have a list of all those people in Nidui. They still have the list? Who refused to give the wife a get? They're a Nidui. That means you cannot speak with them, you can't give them an aliyah. So they keep shul hopping. They keep shul hopping, Evelyn.
Can I just,
People don't know then because the Nidui means you cannot give the guy an aliyah. You can't talk to him. You have to stay 10 feet away from him. So these guys are on the move always.
okay, I want to just ask you one thing.
Go ahead.
The bee sting and in the Parsha, there's the hornet's nest that wins a war.
Yeah, the God will send the hornets against the PLO, right? Right? Against the Tzirah, right? So anyway, let's go to side number 2. Let's go to side number 2. Yeah. Side number 2 where it says, Mefarsem et achanifim. You have that? I wrote the word phony there. You have it? The word phony? You don't? Phony baloney? Huh? Mefarsem et achanifim mipnei chil Hashem. It's an obligation to expose those phony, pious acting rabbis because it's a greater chil Hashem, Mickey, not to expose them. To cover up for them is a greater chil Hashem. There's a pasuk in Yecheskel, I'm reading Yecheskel, B'shuv tzadik mitzitko v'asa avel, v'sati michshal afanav. When the tzaddik turns away, so even in the days of Ezekiel, Yiddish Sharona, in the days, nothing has changed in 2,500 years. Human nature doesn't change. Ein apotropos la'arayot. Nachon, Rabbi Avraham? When it comes to sexual immorality, the urge is so great that no matter how great a person is, and it's just the opposite, Connie, the greater a person is, the greater is Yetzer Hara. Do you know that? Gemara in Sukkah, page 52. Ruvain, we would think that the greater a person is, the less is Yetzer Hara. Just the opposite. The greater a person is, the greater is his sexual urges. Why should it be like that? Because great people have great egos.
Rose used to call me a tzaddik. I said, I'm no tzaddik. She said, but you got a big Yetzer Hara.
So if you have a big Yetzer Hara, you have to know you're a tzaddik. Pretty strange, isn't it? But you have to, we shall overcome. You have to control yourself. Right? You have to control yourself, right? You have great people have great egos. They can think they get away with everything. Stifle yourself. Remember that? Stifle yourself. Control yourself. Take a cold shower. I'll tell you an amazing story. Ksubos, page 65. Tell Rabbi Yitzchak this. Ksubot, page 65. You could look it up. How the Talmud doesn't cover up. Tell it like it is. Evelyn, you listening to me? Ksubos, page 65. Rava was a great Amora, Rava. One of the greatest Amoraim in the Babylonian Talmud. He had a bezdin. So in walks a beautiful woman. She has a case, a monetary case. Beautiful woman walks in to ask him, she has a dispute with the landlord. Rava takes a look at her, Connie, and he tells his Talmidim, you guys take over, I have to go home. So he goes home, and the Rebbitzin says, what are you doing home in the middle of the day? You're never home until late at night. He says, guess what? It's your lucky day. It's a Gemara in Ksubos 65. Rabbis are human. He saw this beautiful woman, and instead of lusting after her, he took a taxi home. Good thing the Rebbitzin was home. She wasn't out shopping. So instead of doing an Aveira, he did a mitzvah. To be with your wife is a mitzvah. And the Talmud tells it.
During the day?
During the day. With no problem. He pulled the shades down? No problem. Pulled the shades down? No problem at all. But instead of lusting after this woman, he excused himself. He says, Talmidim, it's an easy case. You take over. I suddenly remember to have to go home. Rabbi, middle of the day? It happens. So he came home, and the Rebbe was home. Baruch Hashem, she wasn't out shopping in Machne Yehuda. Yiddish, Evelyn. So that's what you're supposed to do. That's why you're married. You have a wife. Instead of doing an Aveirah, you do a mitzvah. The first mitzvah in the Torah is to be with your wife. First mitzvah in the Torah. The act is called Kiddushin.
And hopefully it's the right time of the month.
The act is called Kiddushin. It's called Kiddushin. Connie, it's called Kiddushin. Pretty amazing.
Is that why, I know I take the bus that goes right through Mea Sharim.
Yeah.
And there are numbers of women there who are completely covered, except for...
Oh, you're talking about the Taliban women?
I guess so.
The burqa babes. That's not Judaism. Sharona, the burqa babes, that's not Judaism.
You see them all.
That's corruption. Rav Eliyahu said about them, that these women are sexually immoral. If you see a woman walking around like a burqa babe, Rav Eliyahu said that these women are sexually immoral. That's not Judaism.
What do you mean?
That's just a cover-up. Behind closed doors, they're sexually immoral. Rav Eliyahu said this. It's not Judaism to walk around. Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, he said that. You can look it up on the internet. It's on Oret Sheva, one of his sichot. The women who dress like that are immoral sexually, and who knows what they abuse their kids. That's not Judaism to walk around like that. That's a cover for their crimes. Rav Mordechai Eliyahu said this.
What do you mean by that it's immoral? What did he mean?
He says they dress like that, that it's a cover-up for their immoral behavior behind closed doors.
And also,
It's a guilt complex. That's not Judaism, he said.
it's not sanua.
They're compensating.
It's not sanua because they call attention to themselves. And that's
But
not
isn't
sanua.
somebody,
It's not Judaism.
but isn't there,
Talibanism is not Judaism.
but isn't a rabbi ordering them to do that?
No,
They can get
they don't listen to any rabbis.
They just do that on
They
their...
have a woman leader, a nut job. They follow this woman leader, really. They have no rabbis telling them to dress like that.
Kids dress like that too.
Yeah.
So how do we tell the difference between those Taliban and the other Taliban?
You check behind the veil. I don't know. But anyway, let's take a look. Let's take a look at you. Do you have that? Side number 2. Mefarsim et achanifim. See the word phony? B'nei chil Hashem. So even in the days of Yecheskel, Ksub shuv tzadik b'tzitka v'asa avel. If a tzadik does evil, v'nosati michshal afanov, then God said, I will trip him up and expose him. You hear? So next paragraph, Chachmeinu b'gemara and Yuma. You have the next paragraph, Yehuda? Chachmeinu b'gemara and Yuma. Lamdu b'kan halacha. Mefarsimin esachanifim nechil Hashem. A guy who acts piously, but he's a phony, we have an obligation to what? To expose him, because nechil Hashem, his Berashi. Ki achanifim heim, who are the phonies? They have it underlined. See that? Rishoyim umarin atzpan ketzadikim. Behind closed doors, they're wicked, and they act with pious airs. We have an obligation to expose their crimes. If you know, again, you have to have first-hand knowledge, like these women. Mitzvah lefarsamo, it's a mitzvah to expose them, b'pnei chil Hashem. Shebnei adam lemidim emasa, because people will learn from their deeds. If they can get away from it, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Shesavim shu tzadik. Hey, a tzaddik can act this way, why can't I? Siba noisefet, another reason to expose them, saying, Maisa resha shenira ketzadik, k'shibol apranios, when he gets punished, people will say, Mahoya lois chutoi. They don't know that he only acts like a tzaddik. If they know that he's a chet, it will reduce the chil Hashem. You hear? Now he tells a story here of Mordechai Eliyahu. You see that Pam Yitu Nochak, this is his son writing. Rabbi Eliyahu's son, the Av Bezdin of Tzfat. Pam Yitu Nochak. You have it underlined there?
No, it's not underlined, but it's right underneath it.
Yeah, Kishishippa, Rabbi Eliyahu, Zechat Tzaddik Avrocha, Al Talmid Chacham, Shesorach, B'inyone Erois Beseter. This is not a new story. Going back in the days of Mordechai Eliyahu, a Talmid Chacham who also committed sexually immoral acts, V'adova goram l'Rav agmas nefesh gedolah, and it caused the Rav great anguish. And he said, people that sin privately in sexual matters, but they appear like tzaddikim, metakevet hagula. These people what? Prevent the gula. Al kain, therefore what? Mefarsim es achanifim. Therefore, you have to expose them. B'pnei chil Hashem. Yiddish? Mishim chil Hashem. Keshahem nidanim yodu hanoshim sheyesh din v'yesh dayan. People should know that nobody is what? Above the law. Not even great rabbis. Yeah, and getting back to this idea in the middle of the page, l'chora, we learned this from the Torah. Ki amrim hoka rosh ha'am negat hashemesh. In Parshas Balak, Yehuda, right? In Parshas Balak, the Torah tells us that these chief rabbis who sinned with the Moabite women wasn't just Zimri. You should expose them negat hashemesh. Again, that's a metaphor for what? Publicly. Huchil Hashem befarsum. So it's Avol HaTorah Melamedes Shedafke Legalot Hiatikun. What's the tikkun? To expose them. And that's how you remove the fierce anger from Am Yisrael. Dafke by what? By exposing them, because also these predators, these praying rabbis have a din of what? Of a rodef. Of a rodef, and therefore you have to save the nirdaf by exposing the rodef.
They say, I think in this parsha this week,
Yeah.
that if you go to war, there shouldn't be anybody who's a rodef or whatever.
What?
In the midst of the soldiers. So
She's
those
talking
people
about a
shouldn't
she's
be part of
talking
it.
about a
That's a separate.
Ashes Torah.
Oh, you fast Torah. You're talking about a different Indian. What are you talking about? A captive woman. If you go to war about a captive woman,
No, it's not
this week's parsha is about captive women, right?
about so many things.
Many things. This is the most numerous mitzvahs are on this week's parsha. Parshas Kitetse, right? Now, speaking about Lashon HaRa, when you're not allowed to speak, it's a terrible sin. It's a terrible sin to speak Lashon HaRa. Again, it's character assassination. Now, what about to say about somebody, Sonia, that he's a Baal Tshuva? Can you say about somebody, he used to work in a discotheque and now he learns in the kollel? Now, are you allowed to say that? No. Now, the Gemara in Brachas says, "B'mokim sheba'al tshuva omed, afilu tzadik gomer yochal lamoid." That a Baal Tshuva stands much higher than what? Than a goody two-shoes. Gemara Brachas says that. A guy that's a Baal Tshuva is much better than Tzadik Gomer. So l'chayre, it should be okay to what? To say the guy is a Baal Tshuva. But the Chafetz Chaim says it's still usher. Because, so why, Shirley? Because the perception is that it's negative. Even though it's not negative. To tell about somebody who's about tshuva is a compliment. All of his averot are now what, Rose? Mitzvot. So it's a compliment. But, says the Chafetz Chaim, since it's perception that it's negative, it's human nature to feel that it's a put down, even though it's sheker. It's not a put down. But people think it's a put down, l'chein asur. Because people think it's a busha. It's not a busha.
But too many.
You're better than the chief rabbi. You're better than the tzaddik gomer. But since people perceive it as a put down,
And a lot of frum people use it that way.
as a put down, even though it's sheker, you still shouldn't say. Chafetz Chaim said that. It's not a put down. It's a compliment. But people perceive it as a put down. So even though it's a lie, but that's perception, and Chafetz Chaim says, therefore, you should not say about the guys about tshuva unless he gives you permission. What?
My husband was about to tshuva. He was not
Bravo.
religious before we were married.
Okay.
But
And you made him from. You made him from,
he
right?
did it on his own.
But you helped him. You were Ezer Kenegdo.
No, he made our
Wouldn't that,
Ezer Kenegdo. What?
wouldn't that be the same?
As what?
Say that someone's a convert, because it's
Saying about someone is a convert. The same idea. It's a compliment. But since people think it's a put down, Shoshana, even though it's not, you don't say it. Amazing. It's a compliment. Ruth the Moabite. She's called Ruth the Moabite. Why does she call Avram Ruth the Moabite? Is that a put down? Bravo. You were a Moabite, a go-go dancer in Moab. You became the grandmother of the Messiah. What a way to go. So Ruth knows it's not a put down. But some people would think that it is, so therefore you shouldn't say that a person is a ger. What?
Today, when Kirov is the biggest industry,
Kirov, yeah.
and you ask a Rav who's into Kirov, usually they're from the Ravs,
Yeah.
would you let your daughter marry a Baal Tshuva?
Uh-huh.
That's the best question I know.
Yeah.
Would you let your daughter marry one of the people that you were carrying?
I had a friend of mine who went to Or Sameach. Or Sameach is about Tshuva Yeshiva, right? And he went to the Gera Rebbe to get a bracha. So the Gera Rebbe asked him, where do you learn? He says, I learned in Or Sameach, but I'm not a Baal Tshuva. So the Gera Rebbe says, why not? We all should be Baal Tshuvas. It's a great title to be a Baal Tshuva. But people don't perceive it that way.
I had somebody at my table. I had somebody at my table last week,
Go ahead.
and he was going out with. He's somebody who came from Williamsburg.
Right? My old neighborhood, not Virginia, right?
And I know,
My old neighborhood. What?
I know this guy for years. He's been coming to us. He's like a-
Maybe I know him. From Williamsburg, where?
So I don't know what.
Maybe he's a
I
Landsman.
don't want to mention it.
Okay.
So the fact is, he's trying to get married, and so he found a nice girl, very lovely girl.
Right.
But she happens to be
A Baal Tshuva.
a Garris.
A Geras. He's not a Cohen.
His parents
He's
said-
not a Cohen, right?
His parents says, don't marry a Garris.
Don't marry a Ger. Geras. But you marry Geras, you get 36 mitzvot, Shoshana. Buy one, get 36. The Rambam says, what's the most repeated mitzvah in the Torah? V'haftem et hager. So you marry a ger, it's called a vilda mitzvah. How do you say that in Yiddish? A vilda mitzvah. Buy one, get 36 mitzvot. By marrying a ger, you're getting 36 mitzvot. Olam hafuch. People think it's a put down. Boaz, if Boaz was the chief rabbi of Israel, he wouldn't marry Ruth the Ger, Mashiach wouldn't be born. Right? Mashiach's grandmother was not a Beis Yaakov girl. She was a Moabite princess. Moab was Las Vegas plus. Moab was Las Vegas plus. And she's the grandmother of the Mashiach. There's a message there, Reuven, somewhere. Boaz didn't discriminate. And if you act cruelly to a ger, you get 36 averot. Anyone that puts a ger down gets 36 averot. There's an amazing letter that Avadia Hager wrote to the Rambam. You could see the letter. My friend is in charge of the rare book room at the JTS library. You could see the letter. You can cry. Avadia Hager wrote to the Rambam that his congregation where he is, they discriminate against him. They don't let him daven for the Amud. You hear? So the Rambam writes back, these tipshim, these fools, you're more precious to God than any born Jew. You have a right to daven for the Amud more than any born Jew. These tipshim transgress 36 averot. This is the Rambam answering Avadia Hager.
Didn't
You hear
read
this?
something about Avraham ben Avraham once? Remember we brought a commentary of Avraham ben Avraham.
One of the Balatosfot.
Yeah. What'd you say?
The Gemara says that kosher gerim lisokes hapachat. The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah that gerim are difficult for the Jewish people like sapachat, like leprosy.
Because they show us out.
So Rabbeinu Avraham ben Avraham said, the Balatosfot there says he was a convert. Can you imagine a monk to become a... You know why? Because we make born Jews look bad.
That's right.
I'm so excited. Baruch Hashem had the schus to make a few gerim, Baruch Hashem. And I envy them, their excitement, their enthusiasm for Torah. Halavai, I should be so excited. So Rabbeinu Avraham and Avraham, a ger, a monk who became one of the Balatosfot. A Talmud Rabbeinu Tam says, why are gerim difficult for Yidden like leprosy? Because we show up the born Jew, we have the excitement and enthusiasm, and they're just going through the motions. So it makes born Yidden look bad. Pretty amazing.
Thanks for
Right?
I forgot that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yes?
Sprecher, the Chofetz Chaim actually says that you're not supposed to remind Baal Tshuva of his previous averas, and you're not...
Not Chofetz Chaim, the Rambam said that you're not allowed to remind about Tshuva of his previous averot. You're over alav lo'itoinu ishat amito. If you remind about Tshuva of his previous behavior, you transgress a negative commandment. The Rambam Hilchos Tshuva. Lo'itoinu ishat amito. You are causing him pain by reminding him of what? Of his previous behavior. You're steching him.
And if
right?
If his parents were Bali Averot, you're not supposed to remind him of that either.
No, that's right. You're not allowed to cause him anguish, right?
Yes.
You're not allowed to cause a person anguish or pain, right? But you have to know that about tshuva, b'mokesh bal tshuva oimet tzadik gomal yochal lamod. The Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva paskins like that in Olam Haba, about tshuva stands much higher than what? A tzaddik, FFB. FFB. From birth. FFB.
Rav Tauber says.
What?
Rav Tauber says.
What?
FFB.
FFB.
And there's a BT.
BT Baal Tshuva.
And then there's an
There's a BLT.
And then there's an FFT.
FFT. What's that?
From thinking.
From thinking. Okay, right? Right. There's a BLT also, huh? Yeah, go ahead. What?
I just want to say I'm a convert 20 years ago, though, and
Right.
I've never experienced anything negative in my life.
Baruch Hashem.
Jewish community.
Baruch
I
Hashem.
in Yerushalayim. My 5 children are all heavily involved in various. They haven't all converted. Some have, some haven't.
They don't have to.
They're all-
Keep the 7, go to heaven.
Yeah. Well, they're all very involved with their own Jewish communities. Where
Baruch
they are.
Hashem. Baruch
And,
Hashem.
it's been.
So you're like Ruth.
been nothing.
You're like Ruth,
Oh.
right? Ruth, right?
What a way to go.
Okay. So if anyone is out to harm anybody, it's an obligation, Evelyn, to expose them and not to cover up. Not to cover, no matter how great a rabbi he is, if he's causing harm, mental harm, or physical harm to anybody, then there's an obligation to expose them. Or like these children that are abused by certain Rebbeim, right? You have to expose them, not to cover up. The big scandal, Sydney, Australia. Reuben, did you read about it? A few months ago in Sydney, Australia, they covered up for these rabbis in the Chabad. Very bad, very bad. Now the truth is coming out. It's a terrible sin to cover up. Say it's a Chil Hashem. It's a greater Chil Hashem to cover it up. The right thing is to expose them, to protect the children, and not to cover up for these sinful rabbis. Right?
But you know that the community always covers up.
But that's wrong. But it's changing. Shoshana, it's changing now. That it used to be very, but it is changing now. It is changing now, right? That they are exposing them. It used to be, used to cover up for each other. What will the goyim say? What will the goyim say?
That's the problem.
What the Yidden will say is more important.
That's right.
There was a film recently I saw that came out of U Square. There was somebody who was abused very seriously by his Rabbanim in U Square.
Yes.
And he and also another girl who was also in the same Kehillah. So ultimately, he left.
He left.
And now he made a film. He finally
came out.
He lived with himself.
Right.
Getting years of therapy. Now he went back to New Square to confront some of the But the people there, when they see him,
they don't want to hear it.
They have their whole police squad there. They don't even let them into the.
Unbelievable. Hashem Yazor. Now it's the month of Elul. We have to expose evil and do the right thing, right? And not cover up. And not cover up. By covering up is a worse sin. Don't stand by the blood of your friend. Right? The Pasuk in Pashas Kedoshim, Ruvain. Lo tamot adam rayecha. Don't stand by when your friend's blood is being spilled. Emotionally, physically, you have to expose them and protect the victims. Thank you very much.